This is Jonathan Agger, Fit for Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Gareth A Davies. Gareth, first of all, appreciate you sticking around. We're late here at the Joshua Franklin red carpet event. What did you take from Anthony Joshua today? You interviewed him. What mindset's he in?
I think he looks in a great place. He seems in a really good place. He knows it's a really important fight. Jermaine Franklin is a banana skin in lots of ways, and if AJ does it early, we were expecting him to against, what is he, 35 in the world, Jermaine? I think he's ranked 35 in the world, and if it goes the distance, people blame him for not putting him away. So he'll be damned if he does, and he'll be damned if he doesn't. He needs the victory, and I just hope he calls out Tyson Fury afterwards. I know everyone's going, at that point, but let's get these big heavyweight fights on.
Well, I'll lead straight into that. What do you make of sort of the image of Fury at the moment? Seems to be, even Usyk's promoter Alex Krasik said that his public perception has gone down a lot since the collapse of the Usyk fight. Do you agree or not?
Oh no, there's no doubt at all, because people think it's Fury that's pulled out of that fight. But I think there's unhappiness on both sides. It's all money and ego. When you get to that level and that amount of money, it's all power broking, strong arming to get the best deal. Obviously Usyk wanted a rematch out of that. He would have earned probably 10 million after all his expenses were in at Wembley, and Fury would have earned maybe 25 million. That's my guesstimate on it all. You know, probably a 50 million fight, 15 on expenses, taxes, all those kind of things. And Usyk wanted to know that if he won, that he'd capitalise on that. He's the oldest in this group of heavyweights. Him and Joe Joyce are the two oldest of the top five, as I call them at the moment. Fury, Usyk, Wilder, Joshua and Joyce. Yeah, I mean, it was very poor. It fell apart. It's not good for boxing. It's not a great look when two very good, even great heavyweights in their prime, undefeated, can't get in a ring to decide the undisputed heavyweight title that we haven't had, is it 24 years?
Something like Lewis Holyfield.
Yeah, something like 24 years. So it's a great travesty in lots of ways, and it's not satisfactory, and we're all depressed about it. I bet the boxers regret it now as well.
What does it come down to then, in your opinion? Obviously, you say obviously the money aspect of it. Who's at fault for this? Is it Fury asking for too much? Is it Usyk's the split? Why can't this fight happen?
Yeah, it's Fury asking for too much and wanting too much of it and saying too much that he's the A side, and Usyk believing that he's not being treated properly as the unified champion with 3 of the belts. And look what he's done in the last 2 years against Anthony Joshua. Look what he's done in his 4 heavyweight fights. Extraordinary. You know, who knows what's going on in the background, what kind of advice they're being given, why they don't take these fights. They're already extraordinarily wealthy human beings, and you can't make people fight. It's like the extraordinary position that Anthony Joshua's in at the moment. Potentially more than 100 million in the bank. He's fighting Jermaine Franklin. He's got the beginning of a deal with DAZN, who is setting a lot of store by him. He can have, I think he's got 4 fights left that I'd love to see him in. This fight against Franklin, he's got to win it. And then Fury, Wilder and Joyce. He doesn't need to fight after that. He doesn't need to fight now. So you've got to praise the fact that these guys still have the desire and ambition when they don't have to work for the rest of their lives. They're only driven by legacy or athletic ambition or beating their rivals or being seen as number one in the era. But the great eras weren't defined by who was the very best. They were defined by the great fights, and we are lacking them in heavyweight boxing at the moment. And there's 7-8 fights out there that could be made over the next 2-3 years that would make this a golden era with those 5 guys. Frank Warren can make 7 of them with his 3 fighters, given that Daniel Dubois is also in the WBA mandatory position. So it's not satisfactory at the moment, but boxing's always been like this. It is about money and ego, and the ego goes away when there's enough money on the line. The ego gets buried, and that's what it comes down to, I'm afraid.
Last one on this. True Geordie has said that he feels that Fury's looking for easy fights for the most amount of money at this stage of his career. You know him as well as anyone else. Is that correct or not?
Easy fights. Well, I wouldn't say he's had 2 easy fights, but he's had 2 fights we thought he would win in Dillian Whyte and Derek Chisora. But Fury, again, for me, has to have 2 fights to finish this era, or maybe even 3. Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk and Joe Joyce. And then I think he walks away from the era clean. They're tough fights. He's not getting any younger, but he just needs to sign and get those fights done.
Final question, Gareth. We saw final question on that, but last one completely. Lawrence Okolie returned last weekend. What did you make of sort of some of the criticism that's been going around?
Well, he was very critical himself of his. He gave himself 5 out of 10, didn't he? Yeah, I mean, it was. Lawrence will slap me when he sees me for saying this. It was slower than watching paint dry. The styles clashed horribly, and boxing is a sport where styles make fights. Their styles, David Light and Lawrence Okolie's style, did not make it for a great fight. But Lawrence won handsomely. I think one of the judges said, was it 116, 112? Yeah. I didn't give Light 4 rounds, but it wasn't a great spectacle. But hopefully he'll shake off that ring rust and get into the ring soon again, not be out 13 months as he was, in dispute as he was with Eddie Hearn, of course. And there's great fights out there. Chris Smith and Richard Riakporhe in the UK, Jaya Opataya, who will have been watching that and thinking, I can outbox that guy, Okolie. And then there's Gula Mirian and there's Badu Jack. I've said before, I think Lawrence can unify the entire division, and I think he can have a stint at heavyweight, which he intends to do. But, you know, I'll leave it for him. He criticised himself heavily on the night. It was just one of those performances.
Gareth A Davies, thank you very much for your time. I'll put a link in the description to your channel. You're doing some good stuff on your own channel. You want to give it a little plug?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't need to. I don't want to. I'm here busy working for you right now.
Well, I'll do the honours. Gareth, appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.